Hey everybody, Scout Crafter here again. It's Wednesday, midweek Wednesday, and we have to do a little bit of a mosh today because on Monday that hammer took us a little bit longer than we expected. We couldn't squeeze in any other tidbits. So today we're going to start off and we're going to rocket ship through this, go real quick, and we're going to be a lot of name dropping, so keep keep listening. First off, let's start off with... you remember the wedge, the hammer wedge that my good friend Dan Semmel, who gave me the last Long Island tool meet, and we thought it was so interesting. Well, Christina Perez from San Diego, longtime friend of the show, she had told me, she says, look, she went online, she actually found them, and I ordered a few up. Let's take a look.
Okay, here is the hammer wedge in question that Dan gave me. And you can see I cleaned it up on the wire wheel and stuff, and it's marked number 2, and you can see the dimensions here. And these are the ones that Christina found online, and you can see they look very close, although the number 2 is nowhere near this number 2. You can see this is closer to number 4 here. But anyway, this one here is made by Draper, and I had to get these from the UK. These weren't cheap because in the States, to ship and everything, these came out to about $6 a package, so... you know, you can see that they are a little bit expensive on our side of the pond. But here's the part number or whatever, and you can see drapertools.com, I guess. But I got them on Amazon, so they are available, which is a good thing to see. I'm going to try them out one time. Just a little bit different as far as the width goes on the one, but these are really cool, and we'll have to try them out. So. Thanks, Christina. Really appreciate you tracking that down, and thanks, Dan.
Okay, next up, a longtime friend of the show by the name of Alex Collins. His grandfather, Roland, worked in the Gadsden, Alabama steel plant from 1966 to 2000 when it closed down. And you might remember I did a pair of pliers that belonged to Alex's grandfather. And I'll put a link in the description. That was great. And he was real happy with it. And his grandfather's still doing great. You know, he's been retired. And so Alex found a couple of other items that his grandfather used when he worked at the steel plant. And a couple of padlocks. And he asked me if I could, you know, maybe... service them for him. So I said, I love padlocks, so let's go check them out.
Okay, so Alex sent these 3 items we have. The first is a master combination, an old 175 lock, and these were combination locks. These are very nice, brass. They clean up quite nicely, but they do tarnish because they are brass, unless you want to put a clear coat of lacquer on them. Here's a brass name tag that his grandfather's name was Roland Beasley. And you can see that was his number when he worked at the steel plant. And I guess this might have been his locker lock. And you could see here, it's an old Corbin. And you could see that, you know, the wear and tear over years. These were kind of a zinc lock. We're going to see what we can do with this, you know. These came painted because you know how zinc is, right? Zinc gets kind of screwy. So we'll see what we can do. Let's get started. First, we got to, you know, take it apart, clean it. We'll clean up the key. You can see here, the keys always come out nice when we clean them. So I enjoy doing this kind of stuff, and let's get started.
Now you know my favorite part. Remember what these padlocks look like before we started.
And we're calling the project done. This came out real nice, didn't it? Here we have the Master 175. You could see that. Everything was lubricated. We cleaned everything out, lubricated it, and obviously polished it out. So this still works fantastic, as they always do. I like that case hard insignia they used to put on top of the locks there. Next we have the Corbin, and look at that. That came out real nice, didn't it? Took off all the original finish, and a little bit of red in there. You know, come on. It was screaming for red. It put some color in there. So I like it. I mean, but he can always take it out with a little acetone if you don't like it. Polished it all up, lubricated it. When you're going to lubricate a lock like this, the first thing I do is I vacuum this out, make sure there's no dirt, dust, or anything in there. Then I put some Houdini lock cleaner, or any lock cleaner will work. And then afterwards, I like a little Tri-Flow. And you can see, watch how nice work. You know, it's just so smooth now. I mean, I can't tell you how nice this lock works now. And these were always good working locks. And look at that. It's nice with the, you know, the red in there. I like it. Anyway, Alex, Roland, I think you'll really enjoy these. Now, here was how this, you see this little catch? You'll find these sometimes on padlocks. Let me open this one up here. Okay, and to open it, you just press it like that. It comes up. And this would go around here like this on a padlock. And this would usually keep your lock either, you know, hanging by your lock or whatever. But here we put Roland's tag on here. Polished it up here. And you can see the Beasley. There you go. So it's all polished just the way he would have got it back in 1966 when he started the plant. So, and of course the key. They always had nice stampings on the keys, didn't they? They were just really nice. And there is the serial number for the key if you had to have another one made. Anyway, hope you like it, Alex. It'll be in the mail. You should be getting it hopefully by the time this video airs. Okay, let's see what else we got. Next up we have these two clamps. You've seen Cincinnati clamps before. One here is an earlier model because it has the butterfly type handle. And the other one's a later model with the pass-through straight rod. So, but look at the condition. You can see that the rust is on. Look at, you know, look at these. But what makes this one special, this one was my girlfriend's father's clamp. We're going to take these two over the top, especially this one. Let's dump them in some vinegar. Now, this is after 20 hours in a vinegar bath. And I took it out halfway through, scrubbed it with a hand wire brush. You can see got most of the rust off there. You know, vinegar does a good job, even though I'm sure vapor rust is better, but, you know, it's a poor man's way. Now we'll get all this out with the wire brush. And I like to use the big wire brush because I really want to take this down and get it to bare metal. You can see what everything looks like. You can see with the vinegar. That's just with the vinegar. Okay, let's get to the wire brush. Okay, here's our post wire brush evaluation. You can see, yeah, I've done dozens of these clamps, and it comes out beautiful, don't it? I mean, this is just the way it comes when it's stamped from the factory and stuff, and then they slab any coat of color on here just to protect the steel from rusting. But you could see that this is exactly what it looks like. The rust did no damage. The steel is so, it's called the AM steel over here. Let's see, it says armor steel. It's so strong and hard that the rust does nothing. I mean, it sits on the outside, but, you know, it doesn't pit it or anything. So now we're going to do, and you can see I've done, you know, different colors. Here's one I did in black. I did red. I have a whole bunch. They really hold up well. And I use these. But with this one here, I want to do these nice. I want to take them over the top. So I'm going to, they're all done up. Everything's clean and shiny. Now I'm going to go go to sleep. And tomorrow I'll start working on the colors. And I want to have a trim around it. I want it to look nice. You'll see what I'm doing. Now, this is coming nice, isn't it? You can see where I'm going with this. Now, you can see I do the most I can with the angle grinder because it's fun to work with and I enjoy it. And it you know, the discs are cheap. Now we're going to the belt sander, especially to try and get inside here. You see, this is a tough part to get. And you see how rough that is. And this is a hard steel. I'm going to be trying out these new belts that our buddy Abe Elias, you know, the knife maker from Canada. And keep your calendars open because in March we're going to meet up with Abe over in New Jersey at a woodworking show. I'll give you the dates coming up. But he sent me these beautiful these belts that we're going to try out. These are a little bit coarse. We'll try these. He sent me the blue ones a while ago, and I'm telling you, this thing, I got at least 5 or 6 times the use out of this than I do the cheap belts. That's one thing. When you get better abrasive, they last longer, and it really does pay, because you know, some of these other abrasives, you put metal on it and 2 seconds later the belt is shot. So we're going to try out Abe's new belt, and we'll try and get the inside here. Okay, let's take a break from the sanding, the grinding. Let's go over to the dake. We got to straighten out one of the arms on those clamps, and to do that, I'm going to change the nose cone here. This screws right off here. And I'm going to put on the stepped nose cone. The stepped nose cone is good for a few things. You can see how the threads are on here, you see? And the stepped nose cone is good for pressing out bushings, bearings, but also that tip will help us pinpoint the area. Okay, we have this one clamp here. If you look closely over here, you could see that over here, see that little dip, that little bend here? Well, that's because somebody put it to the end and they applied extra torque. They may even put a cheater bar on there, whatever, but that's where the bend is, right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to place that bend with the high end up under these 2 pieces of wood here, and then use the press to squeeze it down. See, by using the wood here, it makes a pocket in there and hold it straight. And you see, we got that pretty much straight, but we'll just touch it again. You see how that works? Here we are after an hour and 45 minutes just on the belt sander. Now we got to go to polish. But you see, this is what it should look like coming off the belt sander, you know? And, you know, this is what I'm looking for. You know, get rid of all that. This is taking it to the next level. Now we're just going to buff them out, then figure out some paint. You can see we straightened out the handle nicely. And then we'll look for some of the colors and see what we want to do. And this is where, you know, it really makes the clamps pop. Now, while working on the wrench and getting it nice, I noticed that it's just a little bit off. The screw has to be perfectly aligned there, for me anyway. And you can see here, you see how it's a little bit hanging over to the top here. It should be down a little bit. So what we do is we take it, put it in the vise here, like this, okay? Secure it in the vise with a rag, because now we're already finished, you know, doing all the polishing and stuff. And then what we'll do is we'll take a large crescent wrench like this, the big one here, and we'll put it over here like this, and we'll tweak it. And I'm going to show you, tighten it up so there's not a lot of movement. Watch the tweaking I get when I press it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You see how that tweaks over? And you just tweak it a little bit until you get it lined up perfectly. Now here we have the polishing done. You can see how nice that came out, right? Polishing's all done. Now what we're going to do is, because we're going to put paint in here, we're going to wash it with Comet. Scrub all in here, scrub the whole clamps with Comet and hot water, because there is some residual buffing compound that always gets around or something. After that's all scrubbed up, we'll clean it with denatured alcohol, dry them until they get nice and dry and warm on the furnace, and then we'll spray them the color we want. Then we got to tape it too. That's always a pain. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what these clamps look like before we started? And we're calling this project done. You know, I have to have this lighting on here because I did it in a candy apple. And you know, the problem is when I put the fluorescent lights on, it washes it out. I want you to see the real color. Isn't that beautiful? Aren't these nice colors? This one's candy apple red, and that one's candy apple blue in the back. And you could see here, you know, with this one light here, it does do a better job on it. But you could see the color and the shine on the clamps, you know, and the gloss in the back here. But as you know, we always, when I do experimenting with candy, we do the other sides in a different color. So let's take a look at that. Okay, here's the reverse side of the clamps, and you can see here, this one we did in a candy green, and my girlfriend's father's clamp, we did the other side in this is a candy orange. And look at that. If this has a nice, like a burnt, rustic look to it, like a burnt orange, and because I put it on thick, you know, the candy. And it's a really nice color. And of course, you know, the red on the other side, you know. So, you know, what's nice about when you do it like this, if you want to hang it up, one day you get tired of looking at the orange, you hang it up and you could look at the red, you know. But, again, the soft, the smooth, the, you know, and this is all lubricated with the 50/50 mineral oil Vaseline. So it's, I can't tell you how smooth this is, you know. That's the way it's supposed to work. And everything's been waxed with a few coats. And you could see how this would feel in your hands, right? And I'm always wondering why I never did this before. Why did I always paint the clamps in a solid color and never do the, you know, the reverse, leaving the sides polished? Because it just makes so much sense, doesn't it? To leave that all polished on the sides. And again, here's the green one on the one side. All polished and smooth. And I waxed it, but I got some Vaseline and mineral oil on my hands from touching it. And the blue. So which color do you like? Which one do you prefer? Do you have a favorite? Anyway, we'll call these finished for today.
Okay, so thanks very much for tuning in. I hope you have a nice day. Take care now. Bye-bye.